Hello everyone in EPGD land. This is Eric Rodevois coming at you from EPGD Attorneys at Law PA, doing business as EPGD Business Law, doing business as EPGD Law. This segment is coming at you from the soon-to-be discovered division EPGD Tax Law. So here's what happened. Gentleman, local businessman, just called our office, and I asked him, how did you find out about us? And he said, I found you on the internet. So there's internet marketing. Considering I spent $0 on search engine optimization, but whatever. So the gentleman says, I'm very concerned because I missed a phone call, and it was a phone call from the IRS. And I said, really, the IRS? Tell me more. And he goes, yes, the IRS called me, they left a message, and it was the investigations department of the IRS. And I said, please tell me more. And he goes, well, I couldn't really understand them. The guy kind of had a thick accent. And before I call him back, I tried to call my accountant, but my accountant is on vacation this week, and I'm really afraid I don't want to call him back until I talk to someone else. I Googled tax lawyer Coral Gables, you popped up. So what do I do? And I said, well, sir, I can help you, but I'm going to tell you, 95% my gut says that there is no way that that was an actual IRS agent calling you. And let me tell you why. So the IRS has all these rules, because you have to imagine it's a gigantic organization dealing with 300 or 200 million taxpayers and Lord knows how many companies, okay? So most of what they do is automated, and most of what they do is big printing presses and machines, and there's no human interaction. So for example, most of the audits are red flags done by algorithms, okay? So then it starts a process. And literally the process is letter 1 will go out, and letter 1 will let you know that they're going to take a closer look at one of your tax years. And it'll usually tell you what to do. Now, a lot of times people will ignore that letter. Let me please say, if you receive any correspondence of any kind from the IRS, do not ignore the letter. The first second you get one, go talk to a lawyer. Maybe they'll be able to resolve it right there. Where we tend to get into problems is they ignore letter 1. And so then the IRS has a clock. It's in their computer. They send out letter 2, telling you the next step in the process. Again, the clock is running. It usually has a deadline. The client ignores it again. Then there's letter 3. By the time they send you the very first letter that says, hey, we're going to take a closer look at 2013 tax year, to the last letter that says, we've seized your bank accounts and we're putting a lien on your house, that's a long process. That is a process set by the rules, set by the law, set by making it a very functioning system that treats all taxpayers the same. Which is why your first interaction with the IRS is not going to be a phone call. It's not going to be somebody calling you from Bangalore with an Indian accent trying to tell you that you need to give them their credit card number or they're going to send you to jail. Because that's what happened. I literally just called the number. I Googled the number. Couldn't figure it out. It was a Florida number. By the way, if you Google phone numbers, it'll usually tell you this is an IRS number, right? So the only time that there will be an IRS person contacting you is if the case has progressed to the point where an agent has been assigned, and guess what? You'll get a letter in the mail. The letter in the mail will say this agent has been assigned. And then that person might be following up. Now, I've heard of cases where they'll stop by your business. I've heard of cases where the IRS agent will actually be contacting you. But again, it's after the process has started. So I told this gentleman, 95% chance this is a scam, and you can go and sleep easy tonight. He goes, well, what about the 5%? I go, well, listen, come to my office tomorrow at 4. We're going to call the IRS together because I obviously don't have time to have a 28-48 power of attorney. And we're just going to ask them, are there any years under examination? Are there any years missing tax returns? Are there any years that already have a balance due? Are there any years that were substitute returns where the taxpayer doesn't file and the IRS generates a generic tax return for you just to fill in the gap? And that generic tax return will never be beneficial to you because they're not going to give you any of the deductions that you might be entitled to, right? Because that's your job to claim the deductions. So anyways, tomorrow at 4 o'clock we're going to call the IRS, and I'm willing to bet 95 to 1 that this guy's got no problem at all, and I'm just going to try and give him a little bit of peace of mind. But 2 things to take away from this message. Number 1, don't ignore the letters from the IRS. That's how it always starts. And number 2, if you're getting sketchy phone calls, it sounds like somebody's calling you from India and not calling you from Baltimore, then it's more likely than not a scam. Don't give them your credit card information over the phone. This is Eric Rodevois coming at you from EPGD land. See you next week.